Space Force? Space Force! We're gonna blow shit up in space! You're watching What's Trending, I'm Cheryl Lazar. Be sure to like this video and subscribe for more social media news daily. Speaking at the Pentagon, Vice President Mike Pence called for the creation of a new branch of the US military that would operate in space.
Feed a new generation of threats to our people, to our nation. The time has come to establish the United States Space Force.
And his boss, President Trump, was thrilled. He tweeted, "Space Force all the way." Trump first mentioned the idea back in March at a speech to the U.S. Marines in San Diego.
Space is a warfighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a Space Force. Develop another one. Space Force. We have the Air Force, we'll have the Space Force.
He followed that up by saying, "I said maybe we need a new force, we'll call it the Space Force. And I was not really serious, and then I said, what a great idea, maybe we'll have to do that." But guess what? The idea of having military operations in space is not a new thing. In fact, the concept of a space corps of some kind has been batted around for years, and military leaders typically haven't been in favor of it. In 2017, Air Force Secretary Heather Wilson said, "The Pentagon is complicated enough. This will make it more complex, add more boxes to the organization chart, and cost more money." Even Trump's own Secretary of Defense, Jim Mattis, didn't find the project appealing. He said, "At a time when we are trying to integrate the department's joint warfighting functions, I do not wish to add a separate service that would likely present a narrower and even parochial approach to space operations." Last July, when a Space Corps proposal was kept in a defense policy bill, articles even framed it as a loss for the president. But all that changed in March once Trump started talking about Space Force as if it was his idea. That's because, he's a marketing guy. He's all about branding. Okay, yes, the name Space Force is cool, I'll admit that, but whoever came up with the idea, the fact is that Space Force, it might become a reality pretty soon. Let's talk about what that actually means, what the Space Force would do and what it wouldn't do. To start off, here's what the Space Force wouldn't be. Right, I know, that looks like a lot of fun. But it would really be taking some of what the Air Force already does and giving it its own agency. There's actually already a branch of the Air Force called Air Force Space Command. They launch and maintain satellites and operate the US's missile defense systems. Proponents of an independent Space Force say the Air Force doesn't focus enough on these issues, which could make our satellites vulnerable to Russian or Chinese espionage. Those countries are both believed to be working on weaponry that could shoot down American satellites, and that would hinder our ability to guide in aircraft carriers and manage drones. But the question is, does that mean we should create a sixth branch of the United States military? And that's a question people are legitimately split on. Former astronaut Scott Kelly thinks the threat could continue to be addressed by the Air Force and is concerned that it's only happening now because President Trump thinks it would be cool.
Be something that where we have a longer discussion, we get experts involved, maybe decide whether this is something we need. In the past, it didn't seem like it made sense. Doesn't seem to me to make sense now.
Congressman Eric Swalwell wrote, "It's like a sick joke. Before you spend more money unnecessarily on a military presence in space, why not work on solving problems here on Earth? American families struggling to make ends meet, healthcare, climate change." But Congressman Mike Rogers is a big fan. He said, "I'm thrilled about the news today. We in the House have been warning for years about the threats to our space assets and the unacceptably slow pace to develop more capable space systems." But as you would imagine, there's a big cost to this Space Force too. The Pentagon would have to spend $8 billion over the next 5 years to get it started. And defense officials really don't know what the price tag would be. It could be a lot higher than that. But the Trump administration is not waiting to get the ball rolling. If they see something, they go after it. Not long after Pence's speech, an email went out to those on the Trump campaign's mailing list, announcing new Space Force gear and encouraging recipients to vote on their preferred logo. The winning logo will apparently go on hats, t-shirts, backpacks, etc. And buying that merch will contribute money to Trump's 2020 re-election campaign. Norman Eisen, a former ethics advisor for President Obama, said this may be legal, but it's definitely unethical. It is wrong to do this kind of thing because it creates the impression, and perhaps the reality, that official government decision-making may be influenced by merchandising opportunities. Regardless, people online are definitely having fun with the logos. Some pointed out how the logos look a little childish compared to the other US military logos. And others noticed the striking similarities between one of the logos and the existing NASA logo. And others created their own Space Force logos, which are just plain fun. Even the Russian embassy seemingly took a jab at it with a tweet that read, "Good morning, Space Forces." So what do you guys think? Are you pro Space Force? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more of What's Trending. And for more stories, go to whatstrending.com.